What's up, amigos? I hope everyone is having a fantastic day today. Now, today in this video, I wanted to go over briefly how item level works in Diablo 4. As always, if you guys enjoy the content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more future content. So item level, or what Diablo 4 calls item power. Now item power, or item levels, generally in most games, whenever you get a higher item level piece of gear, it's usually better. But in Diablo 4, that's not always the case. So on screen, we have a great graphic taken from a Reddit user, That Jumpy Jumps. Huge shout out to them for making these little infographics for the community. Now, as you can see on the graph, it states, upgrade an item power past the breakpoint brings all stats and skills to the next tier, giving larger boost in regular upgrades, and all substats are also re-rolled. So breakpoint 1, the item power range is between 1 and 149, 2, 150 to 339, 3, 340 to 459, 4, 460 to 624, 5, 625 to 724, and breakpoint 6 is 725 plus. Now, based off of what it says in the graphic here, this also applies to drops, of course. It's not only from upgrading through the blacksmith or from the jeweler. So before we get into the examples, I do want to let everyone know, do not prioritize item level over scaling. And what I mean by this is if you have an item that has multiple affixes that scale with your build, let's say you have damage to slowed, damage to close enemies, and vulnerable damage, it's not worth replacing those 3 stats for an item that has a higher item level with only one of those 3 affixes. Always prioritize your scaling of your build. Now, a few examples I can give of this whole item power thing. One example is I actually had a ring, item level 500, which is in its 30s. That lasted me all the way until my 60s until I finally replaced it with a sacred ring. And that was mainly because I had vulnerable damage on that, crit chance, and crit damage. I prioritized those 3 affixes, like I said a few seconds ago, over anything else because I would rather have a triple scaling than one type of skill or stat that's scaling with my build. Another silly example is my boots here. Now these old boots that I had, they actually had max evade charges, movement speed, and stats on them. So the 54 dex was just a great little damage step so I can, tackle harder things as the game progressed. Skill damage is skill damage. But the biggest thing here is I wanted the max evade charges because especially since I'm playing rogue, but it also fits my playstyle. I'm always on the move. So these were 679 base boots. Alright, and the item level to me was totally irrelevant. I was only focused on the implicit, which is the max evade charges, and the stats and the movement speed. I wanted boots that had movement speed because I am a mobile build. I'm playing Twisted Blades. And I didn't finally upgrade these boots until I found these at level 69. I found these right before I hopped off last night, actually. It had dex, it had my evade charges, it had movement speed on them. These aren't even upgraded yet. Now I do want to show a couple examples of reaching different breakpoints. The perfect example I can show are these gloves. So these gloves have +2 ranks to rapid fire. You can see that I've upgraded them 4 times already. They are at 720 item level. That is 5 points before it reaches breakpoint 6. Now, if you take a look at these now, again, these will go up to 725. Blacksmith upgrades increase your item level +5 each point, or each upgrade rather. These gloves then go from +2 ranks of rapid fire to +4. So you are getting 2 more ranks, 2 skills of rapid fire just for hitting that next breakpoint. You are also getting 5% increase to damage to injured and crit strike damage with imbued skills. You're also getting 7 to all stats. Like, these are significant changes. Through the process of leveling from 700 to 720, the first 4 ranks, you were lucky if you were getting +1 stat, +2 stats. And again, the reason that this goes up +2 ranks is because we finally hit that 725 breakpoint. So I'm going to show you another example actually. I have a ring here. This ring is 612 item level, meaning we only need to enchant it or upgrade it 3 times to hit the next breakpoint. So right now it's sitting at a T4 breakpoint, which is between 460 and 624 item level. A T5 is anywhere between 625 and 724. So we're going to pay attention here to the top end numbers, which are perfect rolls on this ring, the crit strike damage, and the damage to poison enemies. So our first rank, it goes from 8% poison, 12% crit damage, to 13.2% crit damage and 8.8% poison damage. Our second upgrade gives us another 0.8 poison, 1.2% crit. Now this should be our breakpoint upgrade. Now remember, we were getting 0.8% poison and 1.2% crit damage. But on our breakpoint, we are only getting 0.6% crit damage, but we are getting 2.7% more poison damage. Now the reason we only got 0.6% crit damage increase is because we actually can re-roll our number modifiers on the gear, and sometimes you can even downgrade certain affixes on your gear. It's weird how when you reach an upgrade through breakpoints, how it re-rolls the values, but in this case we didn't stay capped out on our crit strike, because as you remember, we had capped out poison and crit strike damage, but now we are on the lower end. If we were on the top end of this breakpoint upgrade, we would have up to 19.5% crit strike damage. I don't know why this happens. I don't know why it re-rolls the modifiers once you hit breakpoints. It just shuffles the numbers around.
Unexpected.
So yeah, hopefully this video helps players understand your gear progression and helps further your character growth. By knowing breakpoints, it really sheds some light on which pieces to upgrade or replace, especially when progressing through World Tier 3, as you can take sacred items and actually hit that next breakpoint for ancestral based items, and it helps you transition into Torment 4 or Torment World Tier 4. So yeah, and until next time amigos, take care. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, it helps out a ton.